Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the American Cultural Center in Algiers. I'm Khaled, the U.S. Embassy's spokesperson. We are currently in the process of expanding our online interactive offerings here on YouTube. So in addition to having live discussions on Wednesdays at 4 p.m., including tomorrow, we'll be offering other regular programming. So be sure to subscribe below. Today, we're going to be talking about the Fulbright Foreign Language Teaching Assistant Scholarship, FLTA, or Fulbright FLTA. This will primarily be a question and answer session. So feel free to ask your questions below at any time, and we will be answering them after a short initial presentation, or we might answer them in writing directly to you. The Fulbright Foreign Language Teaching Assistant Program is an opportunity for young Algerian English teachers who do have at least 2 years of teaching experience to spend an academic year at an American university and foreign languages by supporting teaching assistantships in over 30 languages at hundreds of American universities. And the second goal is to give educators from over 50 countries the opportunity to develop their professional skills and gain firsthand knowledge of the US, its culture, and its people. So in other words, it's a way to help encourage English teaching in Algeria and 50-something other countries. This is a program with which I'm quite familiar on the personal level. Before I joined the State Department, I was an Arabic professor in the United States. And when I was teaching Arabic at Tufts University in Boston, we had a teaching assistant through the FLTA program. He was actually Algerian as well and spent the academic year working as a teaching assistant with me and the other professors, while also taking graduate level classes at the university as a student. So it was a really beneficial experience for him. And he took everything he had learned back to Algeria, where he's now a senior instructor teaching young teachers who is an Algerian English teacher, currently finishing what is called the Ivy League. Asmat will be talking about her experience and giving you all advice. And secondly, we also have the embassy's exchange programs specialist, Nadia, who will be answering some of the more technical questions about eligibility or the application process. So again, feel free to ask questions at any time on our YouTube page, and I will be sending those questions to Asma and Nadia. So with that, I'll go ahead and let Asma start she'll do a short presentation, and then we'll open it up for questions and answers. Asma?
Une petite présentation à l'US. What is FLTA؟ هو Foreign Language Teaching Assistant، يعني راح تكون أستاذ مساعد تخدم في إحدى الجامعات الأمريكية تقري اللغة ديالك، اللغة الأم اللي هي اللغة العربية. Bachelor degree على الأقل، وإذا كان عندك a master degree it's highly desirable. لازم يكون عندك culture. Also, they prefer to take creative people, self-confident, self-reliant, اللي عندهم teamwork, they are flexible and they have professional maturity. كاين نقطة أخيرة اللي يركزوا عليها واللي يسألون عليها في الانترفيو، أنك ما لازمش تكون holder of U.S. citizenship or a dual one. Alors, نعاود نشرح بيان وشنو هو ال FLTA. هو 9 أشهر زمالة فيها عمل ودراسة في نفس الوقت، يعني أنك تكون طالب تقرأ في الجامعة تأخذ يقبل في هذا المنحة. راح يقوم بتدريس أجانب أمريكيين وجنسيات مختلفة اللغة العربية كلغة أجنبية. البعض قد يقولون علاش خيرتوا هذه المنحة، علاش ما خيرتوش منحة because there are a lot of Fulbright يعني opportunities and scholarship. وعلاش exactly هاد المنحة؟ نقولهم باسكو أولاً you are going to teach your own language, your own culture, and you are going to learn about the American education. شكون هما الأساتذة اللي يخدموا في الجامعات الأمريكية ويدرسوا اللغة تاعهم؟ هم طلاب أمريكيون وأجانب، والمترشح كما قلت لكم مسبقا يدرس في الجامعة ويعمل كأستاذ مساعد، يقدم دروس في اللغة العربية، يدير راوند تيبل يحكي عن الثقافة العربية في المشرق العربي في نورث أفريقيا. والهدف من هذا البروجرام خالد هو أن نطوروا المستوى التعليمي ومهارات التدريس أكثر. يعني الفول برايتر لما يعود للكانتري تاعو راح يكون عنده الكثير من التقنيات في تدريس اللغات الأجنبية. الآن كل واحد فيكم راح يسقسي كيفاش how can I apply to the FLTA program. الشيء سهل، نروحوا برك U.S. Embassy Algiers Academic Exchange section الويب سايت و we have to complete the requirement. وشنو هما requirements؟ لازم يكونوا عندنا translated transcripts، ولازم يكون عندنا الدبلوم ديالنا الدبلوم ديالنا تاع الباتشلر ولا الماسترز ديجري. لازم يكون عندنا توفل سكور. لازم تاني يكونوا عندنا 3 letters of recommendation، وهنا نقولوا باللي letters of recommendation are really important. لازم تكونتاكتيو لي بروف ديالكم ولا المدير تاعكم اللي خدمتوا في المؤسسة التعليمية، قولوا له باللي حقينا letters of recommendation، خيروك مبدئيا على واش كتب هذاك الشخص اللي كتب لك رسالة تاع التوصية. How to maximize your chances to get the Fulbright scholarship. Of course you have to apply. كنت في منظمات يعني وجمعيات خيرية وطورت يعني leadership skill. وهنا I have to mention one idea that حتى رئيس الجمعية اللي نشط فيها يقدر يكتب لك رسالة التوصية. You have also to show that you want to return to your own country with a project or develop skills. وعلاش هذا البرنامج مهم بزاف ليا؟ خاطرش من خلال الفول برايت طورت مهاراتي في التدريس اللي كنت تقريهم لغة إنجليزية كلغة أجنبية، تحس بالنقاط الضعف ديالهم، نقاط القوة، كيفاش هاد الاستراتيجي راح تخدم أكثر من other strategies. وشنو هو يعني the thing that was really يعني attractive to me when I arrived to the US, honestly, it was the campus and the library. I really liked it. Some people say, why do you stay a lot in the library? And I say it's my second home. Est-ce que كان عندي a cultural shock? I didn't have any cultural shock, but I suffered from homesickness starting يعني after 4 months to 5 months. But alhamdulillah, I shared this with all Fulbrighters. I called my family, so I really يعني overcame the situation. فهذه كانت my presentation خالد. مشاهدينا إذا كان عندكم أي سؤال تطرحوه استخدموا كل اللغات، رانا هنا باش نجاوبكم على كل الأسئلة إن شاء الله.
Great, thank you very much, Asma. And so we're going to go ahead and go into the questions. Great. First question is from, so there are several people who asked about the Toefl test. One is Sarah Ben Mizian. What about the Toefl test? When do we need to take the test? The part of the answer to that is that right now, because all schools are closed, you do not need to take the Toefl in order to apply. So right now we are suspending the requirement for the Toefl. If you pass, so if you apply to the program and you pass our initial selection, then we will work with you in order to get your Toefl test. But for people who are interested generally in taking the Toefl test, there is a way to take it at home now through the ETS website if you have a credit card, since there's no way to take it in person right now with COVID-19 and everything. So that's the first question. Second question, we have one from a Masked Tiger, someone whose screen name is Masked Tiger. What about the 2 years experience? Is that mandatory? Yes, it is mandatory, and 2 years is the minimum. So it's a minimum of 2 years. Esmat, would you like to talk about what kind of experience you had coming in when you applied for the program?
Well, I had 5 years experience of teaching English as a second language, but I think that some of the Fulbrighters didn't really have this experience, but they showed interest in the field of education and teaching foreign languages. So guys, don't say, I don't have a good TOEFL score or I don't have this experience to do the FLTA. Just apply. If you have good letters of recommendation and you really, really want to teach your language and your culture, just go for it.
Great, thank you for that. So another question this one's from our Facebook page from the post yesterday. Wafa Anglais says, I've been a teacher of English for more than 7 years and a PhD student at the same time, but I have neither recommendation letters nor TOEFL test scores. What can I do? So in this case, Wafa, you do need the recommendation letters. If you submit less than 3 recommendation letters, your application will not be considered complete, which means we will not look at it if it's not a complete recommendation. And the recommendation letters should be from people who know you very well and can comment on your academic ability as well as your leadership.
Are struggling to get the recommendation letter. We all have been through this. I think you still have time to ask your teachers, email them, go to them. I know that it's hard to go during Corona time, but you can do something. We really struggled a lot with letters of recommendation. So what we did, sometimes we mentioned the things that we helped the teachers to remember what we did as students. We helped the organization leaders to remember our activities. We help them with all the ideas, we brainstorm for them, and they just do it, they write for us. And keep asking, that's it.
Great. Now a question from Nisreen Hollow, who asked on our Facebook page, what about an Algerian teacher who worked in private schools only? And the answer to that is no. Private English language teachers employed at private educational centers or institutes or schools are not eligible to apply. The 2-year requirement is within public institutions. And another question on YouTube from a couple of different people, but one is from Abu al-Maki. One is a retired middle school education teacher who is 55 years old, and the other has been for you in terms of teacher training.
We actually had received many trainings during the year. They prepared us before the experience started in Morocco. And we got really, really good training from highly qualified teachers from the Middle East and from North Africa. Then when we arrived to the universities, we had another training before. So we had kind of background knowledge to be really good teachers. During the year, we had a lot of meetings with PLT, language teaching, administration and teachers there, and we had attended many workshops, teaching workshops.
Great. We have another question from Kadru, I think. Is this only open for English teachers? What about a French teacher with 3 years of experience? I'm afraid that this program is only for English teachers, because again, one of the goals is to help develop, is to provide a resource for English teachers here in Algeria to gain experience, as Esmat was saying. A question from Yusuf Talla on Facebook. What about the IELTS? Is it acceptable instead of TOEFL? And the answer to that is, if you do have a valid IELTS exam test score already, yes, absolutely. But if you do not have a valid score report, yet, don't forget that you can still apply if you meet all the other eligibility requirements, because that TOEFL requirement is suspended right now due to COVID-19. Okay, let's go on to Rabab, who asked, who said she didn't understand when and how to apply for the scholarship. The deadline is June 27th, and the link we can send to you on the YouTube page, but it is through the embassy's exchange website. So there you'll find a Fulbright information sheet about criteria for eligibility, timeline, etc. And read it carefully before you apply. It is a somewhat lengthy process. Asmat, do you want to talk more about your experience when you applied?
Yeah. So it was somehow a long process. You need to get the transcript, translate them, get a diploma, translate it, get a before the university will train you. And I saw other Fulbrighters doing this. I mean, they came earlier and they received the training for English language on campus. Also, I would like to mention the essays. The more sincere and creative you are, the more leadership skill you show, the more interest in teaching the culture and the language, your culture, and coming back to the country with a project, the more you will have, you maximize your chances to be a Fulbright.
Okay, great. Now we have a question from Amin. When will you start sending emails? Presumably he means for the people who are selected as finalists for the program. And the answer to that is it's once the deadline is closed and the technical review is completed. So the deadline is June 27th, and then we need, I suppose, a few weeks or so for the technical review. So sometime after that, we don't have an exact date for when we'll be sending emails. But obviously, sorry, Nadia just jumped in. Well, you would expect an email in mid-July. Sorry, that's for, okay. Sorry, that question was for the Fulbright Master's program, which is different from the Fulbright FLTA. The Fulbright Master's program, the deadline is already closed and technical review has started. So for that one, you should expect an email in mid-July. And the Fulbright FLTA, which is the program we're talking about today, would be after that. Asma, Muhammad asks you, how did you get the letter of recommendation?
Well, it's easy. I was active during my higher education period, so I just contacted the people with whom I worked. I contacted my teachers at university. They were really, really helpful. I gave them my transcripts and they were really, really open to writing this letter of recommendation.
Okay, and do you have any other advice on like how you would give the person writing a letter of recommendation guidance on what they should be writing? Because I mean, I know like in the US, we require a letter of recommendation for pretty much any academic application process, but it's a little more unusual in the Algerian system. Do you have anything to say there?
Yes, let's admit that it's not easy. It's not usual to do that a lot, but if you show your transcript that you were a good student during your higher education, that you were active, it's not going to be problematic.
Okay, great. And now a question from Jihad, who asks, can a married woman travel with family if selected? And Nadia says, for this particular program, no, it is not allowed. I know that some of our exchange programs do have a J2 visa that comes with a J1, but this program is only for the applicant.
So Khaled, let me mention something, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
Even if you have a family, you have children, you can also apply and go to the US just a short period of 9 months. And I know Fulbrighters who have done this. They have left their families, they traveled for 9 months and came back with really good skills. So it's not a problem.
Right, and even if you are, so even if they're not qualified in this case for a J visa based on your J visa, they can still apply for a B1, B2 visa to visit you. So for instance, Asmat's parents or family could apply for a regular tourist visa in order to visit her, but in this case they wouldn't be living with her in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me see what else we have in terms of questions. Here we have from Food Engineer. Food Engineer says, I have an advanced level of English, but my major is different. Probably something in engineering or food engineering, I'm guessing. Can I apply? And the answer to that is no. You need to be a current English teacher or a future one, i.e. you could. Okay. Okay, Ilham asks, is it free? And Asmat, would you like to talk about the financial side of it?
Sure. I mentioned before that it's fully funded. So you get stipend for working at UPenn and studying there, and you don't pay any fees for studying like at the university that selected you. So financially speaking, you will be at ease, and that's it. You don't have to pay anything, even the flight ticket from your country to the US.
All of your daily costs and travel and everything, because I mean, I'm sure that's a concern for a lot of people who are looking at this program.
Yes, sure. It also covers, like, you can make some savings to travel around the US.
Like, what have you done in terms of traveling while you've been in the program?
I have been to Miami, Texas, Boston, Washington, D.C., New York. I attended the conferences in the UN, and I didn't miss any events with work or workshops regarding teaching English as a foreign language.
Okay, and can you tell us more about your experience and your daily life? Like, just take a few minutes to kind of describe for our viewers, if they were in this program next year, what is your daily life like?
Languages, or you will be helping your supervisor to teach the language. And this is really, really rewarding. You will learn how to teach foreign languages. You will learn techniques and strategies and the recent theories of teaching languages. You can choose 2 courses, and one of them should be related to the American culture. So you take 2 courses each semester. I used to teach in the morning, study in the afternoon, do some sports in the weekend also.
University, like, are you spending a lot of time with the other Fulbrighters who are from countries all around the world, or with American graduate students, or who do you hang out with, basically?
With Fulbrighters, because we live in the same area. And then I made some friends, and some students were interested to learn more about the culture. So we became friends, and we meet sometimes to talk about topics outside. So both.
Okay, and where are they from, the other Fulbrighters that you're working with and living near?
Indonesia, Russia, Peru, Nigeria. I was the only Algerian.
Any of the other, there's a long list of participating universities that have Arabic programs, so it wouldn't necessarily be University of Pennsylvania. Nader asks, can middle school teachers participate? And the answer to that is, you noticed are the differences between schools in the United States and schools in Algeria, or what surprised you about university in the United States? We'd love to hear your impressions, the good things, the bad things, the things that were completely unexpected.
At the University of Pennsylvania, the students are very creative, and it's really competitive to get into the university. So being a student there was really challenging. I took courses in curriculum development, translation. I attended Spanish classes, French classes, just to see how languages are taught and how students take part in such classes. So I noticed that the students are fully engaged, and the teacher is always pushing the students to participate and through taking interesting topics to them and through homework. So the experience was really rewarding.
Okay, great. We have a question from Sarah, who has a master's degree, but from Turkey. Can I apply for the program? Yes, the 2 years of experience does need to be in Algeria, the teaching English experience. Nadia will correct me if I'm wrong, but the 2 years of experience does need to be in Algeria. Okay, and we have a question from Nassim. Again, going back to the recommendation letters, which it's it's perhaps the etc. So Nassim says, it is hard for me to find my university teachers and ask for recommendation letters. Are there any other options? To that, from my end, I would say there are no other options. One teacher writing a recommendation is mandatory, but the other two need to be can be submitted from other people, like from
my employer organization, and they got accepted in class world universities. So it can be somebody with whom you.
Okay, great. Here's a question. I didn't get the name for who this is from, but as
the best country where you can wear whatever you want. Where you can wear niqab, you can wear the hijab, and nobody talks to you. Some Fulbright mentioned in Europe, and they weren't really the same. In the US, the cultural diversity. Even about other cultures in the US. I learned about my culture in the US. I met people from other states. So I had people from the Middle East, and they had like friends from different states of the US. So the US is the right place if you're with.
Again, because your sound was cutting off for the first part of that. So just go ahead and repeat the whole answer again. Thanks.
No problem. I said that it was only in the US that I could be really, really proud of my hijab, remark about what I wear. So maybe it's because I'm in a place where there are Muslims, and also, I mean, some Americans are Muslim here. Also, some Fulbrighters mentioned that they didn't have such an experience in Europe. So they have been to Europe wearing a veil, and it wasn't easy for them. That's why I think that the US is really, really, really good for you to be free to wear whatever you want and to learn about cultural diversity. As I mentioned, people from my own country that I have never met back in my country, from different states, from the Middle East, North Africa, and they were very tolerant toward what I am wearing and toward the way I am speaking or behaving. So just join the Fulbright family. No problems with that.
And I would add to that too that, I mean, of course, the US is huge, 50 states and very different types of cities and locations. And so your experience in Philadelphia could be quite different from someone else's experience. But I mean, generally we send people, Fulbrighters, all over the United States. And we tend to hear very positive reactions, answers to that question. But in terms of, you mentioned that Philadelphia has a lot of Muslims living there, which is true. There's they're both immigrant Muslim for miles and miles. But even then, I think people generally have positive experiences. Okay, so we have a question from your housing is applied, or where did you stay? What kind of situation is it?
Perfect. So regarding where we stay, You can stay either, there are two possibilities. You stay on campus or off campus. And the 6 Fulbright should stay out of the campus because it's, and we selected a house here, 20 minutes walking distance. Also, university provide house the UPenn Fulbrighters, but just be open to what they provide you with.
Okay, I think your sound was cutting off again during that answer. At least I wasn't able to hear it. I'm going to quickly answer another question from Sarah, who asks, should the CV and diploma be translated into English? Yes, all documents need to be translated by a sworn translation office. Okay, so could you?
As I said, Khaled, the university, some universities provide you with housing, like accommodation, and also the meals. So, however, you can prefer to find off-campus housing. And we live only 2 minutes from the distance, walking distance from campus. So it all depends on what the university has option.
All right. Sorry, the sound was not perfect either there, but I think we got some of it. Basically, you can stay on or off campus. You have the option of either.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting a housing stipend. That covers the costs of your housing, and so you can choose whether you want to choice. And the stipend which you receive from Fulbright covers those costs. So it looks like, okay, hold on, there's one more question coming in. Did you want to say anything else about what had your other experience been beforehand? So you had been an English teacher, and what else were you able to draw on in terms of your essays and your experience that you think made you qualified for the?
And how good as a teacher you were? Are you that class university? He said one of the letters of recommendation mentioned that you can teach by your own in a creative way, and that's all. Like be yourself as a teacher first, and teach from your heart. Teaching a language doesn't mean that you are teaching only the language and the grammar, but it also encompasses the cultural aspect. And I was reading about this a lot. So I had two opportunities, either to apply for master's in U.S., I believe.
Okay, great. And we'll head to the FLTA program. And yes, if you had an application to another program, you are still able to apply to this one as well. And I think that's all the questions we have right now about the FLTA program. But everyone can keep asking them in the comments, and we'll be answering questions below. And please subscribe to our channel. We have regular discussions Wednesdays at 4 p.m. on different topics, which are live. And also we're adding more programming to discuss our exchange programs, other opportunities. We'll be adding some English. Before we close, from Jihad, can I apply for a visa for my husband if I'm selected? And he would not be able to get a J visa, so he would not be able to. But your husband would be able to apply for a B1, B2 visa to visit you. Of course, we can't guarantee if he would be qualified for a B1, B2 visa or not. That would be on his own merits during the interview, and the decision would be made by the consular officer. So thank you all very much. The talk is going to be on the many faces of diplomats. We're going to be highlighting 3 of our diplomats how they became U.S. diplomats, even though they were all born or raised outside of the U.S. Asma, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your experience with us today.
Thank you, Khaled. Let me just mention something before I say goodbye. I know how motivated are the Algerian students and teachers.
Okay, great.